Good afternoon and welcome to our 6th Wake Up Wednesday virtual vigil. It's co-sponsored with Louisville Showing Up for Racial Justice and the Interfaith Coalition for Immigrant Justice and the Sowers of Justice Network. We'll just take a minute and allow a few other people. We have a few people in the waiting room and we'll invite them to join and then we'll get started. It's good to have you with us this afternoon. During our vigil today, as has been the case, we will have 2 moments of silence, 2 periods of silence. And during the second silence, after our reflection, you'll be invited to share your prayerful intentions. If you're joining us through Zoom, please share your intentions through chat. And if you're joining us through Facebook, please share your reflections on the comment section, in the comment section. And we're going to conclude this afternoon at 12:30. If you can't stay the whole time, or if you'd like to, as I did this just a few minutes ago, if you'd like to rewatch any of the vigils, they're available always on the Sowers of Justice Network's Facebook page. I want to introduce myself. We'll get started. My name is Cindy Geisen. I'm the pastor of St. Paul Lutheran Church in Shively, and I'm a member of the El-Surge Faith Planning Group. Been part of planning these vigils and part of the larger which is part of the larger campaign, A Sacred Calling, Community Safety for All. We're going to begin our time together with 526 seconds of silence as we together hold in this space people who've been killed by police violence. So I invite you to silence. I'm delighted today to introduce Britt Gharachamani, who it's been my delight to work with her as a fellow member of the El Surge Faith Planning Team. Britt is a member of the Baha'i community and also a college math instructor, for which I am in awe. So Britt, thanks for being with us today and sharing your reflections.
Thank you so much, Cindy. I'd like to share with you some of the teachings of the Baha'i Faith that motivate me to work for social justice and safety for all. I realize that the teachings of the Baha'i Faith may not be familiar to you. They were new to me 10 years ago when I began to study this young religion which originated in Iran in the 1840s. The fundamental teaching of the Baha'i Faith is the oneness of humanity. Baha'u'llah, the founder of the faith, taught, "The earth is but one country and mankind its citizens." Since the beginnings of life on earth, humankind has been evolving both scientifically and spiritually. God periodically sends educators to guide humanity to the next level of development. These pure souls, known to us as Abraham, Krishna, Moses, Zoroaster, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, the Bab, and Baha'u'llah, have given us teachings to elevate humanity to higher levels of consciousness based on the principles of truth, unity, justice, and love. Their spiritual teachings continually draw humanity toward oneness, while their social teachings give the remedy for the social ills of the day. Baha'u'llah taught, "The purpose of justice is the appearance of unity among men. No light can compare with the light of justice. The establishment of order in the world and the tranquility of the nations depends upon it." He also taught, "O Son of Spirit, the best beloved of all things in my sight is justice. Turn not away therefrom if thou desirest me, and neglect it not that I may confide in thee. By its aid thou shalt see with thine own eyes, and not through the eyes of others, and shall know of thine own knowledge, and not through the knowledge of thy neighbor. Ponder this in thy heart, how it behooveth thee to be. Verily, justice is my gift to thee, and the sign of my loving kindness. Set it then before thine eyes." His son Abdu'l-Baha taught, "Truthfulness is the foundation of all human virtues. When this holy attribute is established in man, all the divine qualities will also be acquired." Since the journey toward justice and unity and peace begins with acknowledging the truth, I would like to focus on 3 truths which inspire me to work for social justice and community safety for all. The first of those truths is that all human beings are created noble, but our institutions and our culture do not protect and nurture that nobility. "Regard a man as a mine rich in gems of inestimable value," Baha'u'llah urges. Every human being on this earth has tremendous potential for greatness, but in order to flourish and achieve that potential, each of us needs safety and security. The truth is that too many of our brothers and sisters of color are hindered from achieving their highest potential and making much needed contributions to our society because of the institutions of our country do not protect and nurture them. Meanwhile, we as white people are oblivious and sometimes even participate in the harm. As my eyes open to see these disparities, it gives me greater motivation to advocate for safety and opportunity for all people to flourish. I reflect on how Baha'u'llah once compared colored people to the black pupil of the eye, surrounded by the white. In this black pupil is seen the reflection of that which is before it, and through it the light of the Spirit shines forth. I've had the wonderful opportunity to live in Africa twice, and I've visited African countries a half dozen other times. And whenever I land on that continent, there is an energy and a spirit that's unlike anything I've ever experienced anywhere else in the world. It literally radiates from people's faces, and it's such a joy to be amongst. Whenever I return to the United States, my heart is grieved because of the way I see our culture and our institutions seeking to darken the light of our brothers and sisters. We white Americans desperately need to recognize that our Black brothers and sisters can help us see clearly what is before us. We need to center their voices and do all we can to protect them as the sclera does to the pupil of the eye. The second truth I'd like to share is that all humans are fundamentally interconnected. The safety and security of everyone in our society impacts us all. The Universal House of Justice states, the welfare of any segment of humanity is inextricably bound up with the welfare of the whole. Humanity's collective life suffers when any one group thinks of its own well-being in isolation from that of its neighbors and pursues economic gain without regard for the natural environment which provides sustenance for all. This is a weakness in the so-called Western culture of ours. Our culture tends to value competition at the expense of community. We try to solve problems through coercion rather than consultation. Too often we approach life like it's a zero-sum game. I win, you lose. If you win, I lose. That's a lie, and it's holding us back collectively and individually. Archbishop Desmond Tutu's teachings inspire me deeply. He said, Ubuntu speaks of the very essence of being human. You're generous, you're hospitable, you're friendly, caring, and compassionate, and you share what you have. It is to say, my humanity is inextricably bound up in yours. What does Ubuntu look like in our society with regards to safety? It says, the safety of my Black and Brown neighbors, their well-being is deeply connected with my own well-being. It is my responsibility to do what I can do in my sphere of influence, and my humanity depends on it. The third truth that I've come to realize is that racism and prejudice are spiritual diseases, and the antidote of these are humility, love, and sincere friendship. There is power in proximity, as one of my heroes, Bryan Stevenson, likes to say. In 1938, Baha'u'llah's great-grandson, Shoghi Effendi, wrote a letter specifically to the Baha'is of the United States about their need to overcome racial prejudice. He said, let the white make a supreme effort to abandon once and for all their usually inherent and at times subconscious sense of superiority, to correct their tendency towards revealing a patronizing attitude towards the members of the other race, to persuade them through their intimate, spontaneous, and informal association with them of the genuineness of their friendship and the sincerity of their intentions. Shoghi Effendi taught us about white privilege way back in 1938, and yet we are still grappling with it today. We must bring ourselves to account each day. Has my approach to this work been humble, loving, detached from my ego, detached from my obsession with being perfect, my inherent sense of superiority? One thing that I've learned from Bryan Stevenson about is about the power of proximity. I love this quotation from him. He said, too often we wait until we think we have all the answers to get closer to those who have been marginalized. Empathy needs to be not just a step in the process, but a personal relationship that truly changes everyone involved. Proximity is particularly challenging in this society of ours that is so segregated. It takes a conscious effort. It takes leaving our comfort zone and sometimes staying out there when we want to return and withdraw back into it. But the rewards of taking steps out of our comfort zone are so exhilarating. I consider myself so lucky to work as an instructor here in Louisville at JCTC. It has brought me into proximity with students that I never would have had the blessing of knowing otherwise. In my class, I have students from at least 12 different countries and American students whose life experiences have been vastly different from my own. I learn so much from their perspectives. I feel as if they are my younger siblings. I see in them potential to make great contributions to our society and to the world, but I also fear for their safety. My heart skips a beat when I consider that Breonna Taylor was once a student at JCTC. When I think of the tragedy of her death, I think of how heartbroken I would be if such a thing happened to one of my students. We must change the structures that hurt them for their sake, for our sake. Our immigrant brothers and sisters contribute so much to our society and always have. The teacher who inspired me to become a teacher myself was Mr. Ramirez, my high school math teacher. He immigrated to California as a teenager, and he worked in the vineyards near our home while finishing his education. He taught me many important lessons about mathematics, but even more powerful lessons about humanity. He was a small man with a gigantic smile and a huge heart. Many members of our Baha'i community have come to this country and to Louisville after fleeing religious persecution in their home in Iran. My sweet husband fled Iran when he was 16 years old by himself. His parents were arrested and imprisoned for helping him escape. This country gave him safety and a chance to flourish. Many others of our Iranian Baha'is in Louisville have been able to become doctors and professionals and serve this community because of the security that this country gave them. We stand in solidarity with our recently arrived immigrants, many of whom work in essential jobs in health, agriculture, human services, and many other, helping us to survive this pandemic. COVID-19 has hit their community hard. Too many of them worry about their security and their health. Too many of them live in fear of violence of immigration authorities. We who have voices have an opportunity to serve and advocate for immigrants who are silent in our midst. I'd like to close this reflection with a few words from Abdul Baha. He urges us, shed the light of a boundless love on every human being whom you meet, whether of your country, your race, your political party, or of any other nation, color, or shade of political opinion. Heaven will support you while you work in this ingathering of the scattered peoples of the world beneath the shadow of the almighty tent of unity.
Thank you, Britt, for that wonderful reflection. And I invite all of us now to take a few moments and share our own reflections. If you are on Zoom, please share your reflections in the chat. And if you are on Facebook, please share your reflections on what Britt has shared with us in the comments section. I invite us to 3 minutes of silence. Thank you, Britt. I'd invite you to share a closing prayer with us.
O thou kind Lord, thou hast created all humanity from the same stock. Thou hast decreed that all shall belong to the same household. In thy holy presence they are all thy servants, and all mankind are sheltered beneath thy tabernacle. All have gathered together at thy table of bounty. All are illumined through the light of thy providence. O God, thou art kind to all. Thou hast provided for all, dost shelter all, conferrest life upon all. Thou hast endowed each and all with talents and faculties, and all are submerged in the ocean of thy mercy. O thou kind Lord, unite all. Let the religions agree and make the nations one, so that they may see each other as one family and the whole earth as one home. May they all live together in perfect harmony. O God, raise aloft the banner of the oneness of mankind. O God, establish the most great peace. Cement thou, O God, the hearts together. O thou kind Father, God, gladden our hearts through the fragrance of thy love. Brighten our eyes through the light of thy guidance. Delight our ears with the melody of thy word, and shelter us all in the stronghold of thy providence. Thou art the mighty and the powerful. Thou art the forgiving, and thou art the one who overlooketh the shortcomings of all mankind.
Amen. Thank you, Britt, for being with us today and sharing the things that inspire you to continue this work for justice in Louisville. Thank you, and around the world. Thank you for being with us today. Please join us next week for the 7th Wake Up Wednesday vigil, or for any of all of the activities that are part of a sacred calling, community safety for all. Thank you. Be well.